we have 3 receivers here and 1 on the backside, so 3 by 1. With nobody in this area back here, this corner could pretty much play man-to-man on the backside and then match the coverage over here. Fast players, which I was never able to do this, but the fast players will come with the overhand swat. Sure, Coach Shanahan is saying, if we would have just done a couple more things right, we would have won that game.
Welcome to Week 7 of Coach. I'm Patricia, and this is Coach Bill Belichick. Coach, we're going to dive into our theme of the week, under pressure. We got a lot of pressure situations in football, certainly one that's near and dear to us, defensive pressure. We love defensive pressure, different schemes that we can run. We'll talk through some coverages. Coach, we're going to kick off the segment here, a little bit of defensive pressure highlights from last week.
O'Connell is slung down by Cam Hayward.
Watson, as he starts the run, they've got him! They've got him, they've sacked him for the 4th time in this game.
May gets the sack, and now he's sacked, the ball is out. Hunter got it out, and Edwards recovers.
Lions showing pressure. There they come. Prescott in trouble. Lee McNeil leaning on him and dropping him.
O'Connell delivers it downfield, and he delivers it to the other team. Dante Jackson with the pick.
Coach, we're talking about fire zone pressure, defensive zone pressure, starting with 3 under, 3 deep. Fire 3, Coach.
Well, this concept of this defense started quite a while ago, back in the 80s, 90s, really popularized by Coach Cowher and Coach LeBeau at Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and so forth. It really was built for the 3-4 defense, where you had the flexibility of 4 droppers as linebackers. And so whichever combination of 5 that you brought here, 5 rushers, then you would have 3 underneath and then 3 deep for the combination of 11 people. So the 5 rushers, whoever they were, it could be the Sam and the Will here, it could be the Sam and the Mike and the Jack and the Will dropping into coverage. Those combinations, they're all alive. Or it could be a secondary player and 3 linebackers dropping into coverage, the same thing. But 3 under here and 3 deep. And against a 3 by 1 formation, so we have 3 receivers here and 1 on the backside, so 3 by 1. With nobody in this area back here, this corner could pretty much play man-to-man on the backside and then match the coverage over here. When it goes to 2 by 2, then these corners have to be a little more aware of the seam routes, and there are some other adjustments that can come with that. But for right now, we'll just leave it here. So 3 under, 3 deep. Again, the more condensed the formation is, in other words, if this receiver were to line up in the backfield like a fullback, okay, the easier it is for the defense to cover, less receivers, less space, less spread out. The more spread out it is, the harder it is for the defense to cover those quick throws by the quarterback. So the idea is to get a 5-man rush, 3 under, zone vision on the quarterback, see who the quarterback, where he's looking, feel like the pressure is going to get to him, so he has to throw before he wants to, and then everybody break on the ball. If the offense can pick it up, there's more space to throw, then more opportunity to give up intermediate throws into that 10 to 20-yard area.
Yeah, I think the biggest conversation we have, certainly, like you mentioned it, when the formation condenses down, we definitely want to play with really good zone vision. Only so many receivers can get out. But we always have a conversation when the formation opens up or spreads out. How do we want to match those? Do we want to match tighter? Do we want to carry through some of those problem areas? Or do we want to stay with good zone vision and break on the quarterback, break on the throw?
Right. And so the choices are, the more it's a 2-back set, the easier this is to run. The more it's 3 by 1, the easier it is to match to the strong side here with the linebacker and the curl flat player. The more it's 2 by 2, the more spread out you get. Now that teams are running primarily 4-man line in the National Football League, you have a little bit less flexibility here because you only have really 3 coverage players. Some of these defensive ends can cover, but you really only have 3 coverage players instead of 4, so it just limits some of the options from a rush standpoint.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, with the 5-down look here, pretty much you're going to come with the 5, but the overload strong, the overload to the weak side, all of that, you can mix those however you want. But really the essence of the 3 under, 3 deep, those responsibilities stay the same regardless of who the players are. Yeah,
that's right. All these players, the linebackers, the safeties, they all need to know how to play these 3 spots. And then whatever the rush combinations are to get 5 rushers, you can do that. But as you have drawn up over here, Once the formation goes to 2-by-2, it's really more of an advantage to be in a 4 under 2 deep look as opposed to, or 2 under 4 deep, however you want to look at it, as opposed to 3-by-3.
Yeah, and I think the progression that we saw, again, you mentioned before, Coach, a lot of 2-back formations or 2 open sets. As offenses spread out a little bit more, we got to more 11 personnel. These opened up formation 2-by-2s. The verticals became a problem. That was really where, we started to get hit a lot in those situations. Those weak seam routes here by number 2 going vertical. We tried to modify the Fire 3, maybe match a little bit tighter, but really, checking to this Fire 4 type of coverage versus this 2-by-2 look really kind of handled those verticals.
Right. You have the same thing here. You have the Will and the Sam, so it's the same 2 rushers as we had over here, but now in a 2-by-2 set, meaning 2 receivers on either side of the quarterback, this coverage now, instead of rotating this way, you just rotate back to 4 deep and 2 under, and these 2 receivers or these 2 defenders would match the number 2 receiver to their side. So it was a better coverage, gave you better run force, gave you better coverage, and you could check it against that. If you didn't want to check it, then you just call it and live with it. And teams that ran jet motion,
right,
that go across the formation fast, make it hard to check coverages. You have to pick one of these and live with it.
Yeah, so many of these nowadays where we get this number 2 receiver, screaming across the ball this way or maybe in behind the quarterback. It kind of puts the secondary in a little bit of a communication bind. And when you're talking from the back end to the front end, sometimes on the road, at home, whatever it is, that communication gets lost. So you're really better off maybe just calling it and running in that situation and just adjusting it when it goes to those formations.
There's nothing worse than missed rotation in the secondary. Those are touchdowns against a good quarterback when that happens. So if it's going to be a problem, then better off just call it and live with it. If you can adjust it and it's clean, then a lot of times you can get to a better defensive call against the right formation if you can work it out that way. As you said, communication's a big part of this.
Yeah, just to your point, when you're going from a split safety to a middle of field safety coverage, there's nothing worse, especially as the corners, where if you're expecting post safety help
and it's not
that
there,
guy's not there, you got a problem. You got no help inside. So, the communication aspect of these are really, important. This was a great scheme that, a lot of people do, and certainly we saw it in 07. Spags really started to do some of this stuff with the 2-by-2. It was being done before that, again, going back to the Fire 3, but the combination of both of these coverages in one call, really gave the defense an advantage, I think, to stop the plays that were hurting it.
Right, and I think what you're seeing now is off a 4-man look. Instead of having a will linebacker here, this really becomes the nickel player.
Yeah.
Here are your 4 rushers, and then whichever 5 you bring, whether it's the nickel or one of the linebackers, then it's just a matter of switching spots. But whether you're 3 under 3 deep, and let's call it, this is the nickel player here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coach, you want to use the green?
No, I don't do green.
Okay, all right.
The nickel player here, however that goes, he just replaces the linebacker. So however you get to your combination of 5 rushers, it's that's just game plan. Anybody can do that. But instead of it being out of base defense, what we're seeing now is most teams in the league play nickel defense. Like Buffalo, they don't have a base defense.
Right.
They just play nickel. So that player just replaces the linebacker in the original scheme.
Yeah, great concepts in the Fire zone, Fire 3, Fire 4, getting a lot of pressure, versus the quarterbacks this year, getting a lot of these different looks, pretty popular in the NFL right now, and creating a lot of pressure for the offense.
Yeah, and the downside of these pressures, of course, is spread formations. And so when we ran into this with the Steelers back in the early 2000s and go empty almost every play of the game just to spread them out, get them out of it, and just, throw quick passes and give them too much space to defend, that really neutralized some of this. So defensively, you just have to be careful. If it's a quick passing team, you may want to be careful about how much of this you run. The more they're running two-man play-action patterns or even 3-man play-action patterns and trying to run the ball, then this just gives you a little bit more aggressive attack on them.
Yeah, it's great schemes. Coach, we're going to dive into some film, take a look at some of these on tape. Right now, Kansas City runs it really well. Obviously, we know Coach Spags, Minnesota's running these well. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to talk about another coverage, hot coverage. A little variation of this with...
Bring in one more guy.
Bring in one more guy. And
it's one less to cover.
And one less in coverage. Well, Coach, I love drawing on the whiteboard. I mean, that's how we install with our players, but we know the most important thing is to dive into the film. We're talking Fire 4 here to start, and really Coach Spags at Kansas City right now, who runs a lot of this, one of the places that we'll start as far as install.
Yeah, he certainly made it popular. The overall blitz zone concept goes all the way back to Coach Cowher and Coach LeBeau, the Steelers, and it's been a progression, but the split safety zone concept has really become more popular in the last decade or so. Coach Spags had a lot of success with it.
Yeah, well, we'll go to the film right here and show how he's running that to really the 2x2 looks to start. So we're in our Fire 4 zone pressure here.
All right, so here come the 5 rushers here. The linebacker Bolton coming off the line of scrimmage. So there's our 5 rushers, and then we have the 2 underneath players, and then our 4 quarters players.
Look, they're still trying to slide here. The Saints are trying to slide and pick up Chris Jones, but look, he's one of those Tuesday players. You can see him jumping in between the center and the guard. So with the mix of pressure up front, the coverage behind it, the quarterback under a lot of duress, they let him out of the pocket here. But you can see how the coverage matches. You know, the 2 underneath defenders trying to wall off number 2. Good zone vision here.
The real key to this coverage is if the back ties up with the extra blocker, then these 2 inside players can really expand to the 2 number 2 receivers. If the back were to get out, there'd be a lot of space in there for the quarterback just to dump the ball and pick up a big game. But the idea of the blitz is, or the pressure is to get your linebacker on a back and create the one-on-ones across the board.
Yeah, good example right there of them having to pick up in protection, and then by the time the scramble comes out, you know, the ball's thrown out of bounds. But again, good matches inside, packs the middle of the defense. Another example here, another 2x2 set, a little bit more of a, drop back pass. Mike Will cross inside, popular pressure with the 2 ends dropping out as the underneath defenders. You can kind of see the matches of the 2 under 4 deep here.
Right, so if the tackles are assigned to block these 2 ends that are dropping out, then you see that the tackles can be kind of sitting here useless while you have a good rush going on. So sometimes the idea, if you have a good dropper on the line of scrimmage who's also a good rusher, you can use him as both a rusher and as somebody to draw the protection while you bring, you know, another player from somewhere else. So you can see these kind of plays just harass the quarterback. They don't always come scot-free, but usually there's some kind of pressure with them, and it just disrupts the passing game.
And good matches downfield here. The deep part of the field is covered well. Those 2 short routes are kind of matched by those 2 underneath defenders. And look, we all know at some point, even zone coverage, you have to match the routes that are being run. Good job here by Kansas City matching. And again, just giving the quarterback nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's good coverage play.
We get some motion, you know, from 3x1 to 2x2. A lot of times here, the defense can adjust. But bringing that back over, we can see our 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, Coach, our 2 underneath defenders, our 4 deep defenders, you know, really being able to hold off the vertical routes as they develop.
Right, as you said, our 4 deep players here. But again, this is a good situation here to run this. It's 3rd down and 12, so not expecting any quick passes, and if they do, you come up and make the tackle to prevent the first down. But 3rd and 12, long yardage, where you're getting routes that are further down the field, gives the rush time to get there, and you're not as concerned about the quick throws.
Yeah, timing to the play on 3rd down for sure. You know, a little bit of a mix of coverage, kind of holding off the inside routes there as they're walling number 2, like we talked about, which gives, hey, that pass rush game enough time to get there. And we got good matches at the sticks and, good defense here on 3rd down.
Right, and this is the area I was talking about right here where Juszczyk checks over the ball, and you see there's a lot of space, probably enough to get him the ball and let him run for the first down, but just the quarterback doesn't have time to see him and ends up not being able to get him the ball to get sacked.
Yeah, and the benefit of having good, zone vision in the zone coverage is that those underneath defenders, hopefully they can get to that check down before he gets the first down. Okay, Coach, next example here in the Fire 4, we get a lot of motion. We get the motion from the 3x1 to 2x2 looks. Sometimes with Fire 4, you just got to call and run it. You're not really sure with the jet sweep motion and those fast motions that we're getting. You got to be able to ready to adjust the coverage as it goes. An example here where, again, it probably looks like they called the play in the situation to 3x1. Left it on. There's not a lot of adjustment by the secondary, so it was probably called. They motion over to 2x2, but again, you just got to be ready for the movement of the offense.
Right, that jet motion that comes across quickly is hard for the defense to adjust to. So, as you said, a lot of times you just have to call and play it against whatever you get. So here again, you have your 5-man rush, 2 underneath defenders here, and then the 4 secondary players. Basically quarters coverage. Again, all with zone vision on the quarterback. They're not looking at their man, they're looking at the quarterback, and the quarterback's going to take them to where the ball's being thrown.
Yeah, and especially down here in the red area, we talk all the time, that fringe, high red shot area. We're worried about the 4 verticals, so that motion into that 2x2. Playing the fire 4 or staying 4 deep really helps you for the vertical pass.
Right. When you say 4 verticals, this type of pattern here where they just stretch the defense all the way across. If you're 4 deep, you're good. If you're only 3 deep, then you have these seam patterns that become problematic because they're in between defenders.
Good example here of matching underneath, walling off number 2, sticking the match there, and then, playing on top of the other receivers, the pass rush, doing a good job, obviously, getting after the quarterback, and, another quarterback holding the ball situation.
These are the kind of plays where if the quarterback can read this properly and get the ball over here where there's space, this is how you hurt the blitz zones, is you throw the ball into that space before the defenders can converge on it and have a chance here to pick up the first down. If you're kind of into the side where they run the routes into the defenders and there's nowhere to throw the ball, and then the quarterback holds it, by that time then the rush gets to him and it's all over. So the quick throws and the quick throws away from the coverage or where your numbers are, particularly inside routes, are good against this.
Yeah, and I think what you see a lot that we talk about all the time with the quarterbacks and maybe even some young quarterbacks is, when the first read isn't there, their eye level comes down, it goes more to the rush. Now they can't see what's going on downfield, and you get a little bit of extra opportunity to get to the quarterback.
Right. There are usually guys open on this, just a question of whether the quarterback can find them and have a little bit of time to throw it.
And like we mentioned, Coach, the last one here, like sometimes they're just call and run it. Sometimes you got to run them versus 3x1 formations. You can see here with Houston, those 2 underneath defenders, they're really pushing over. Obviously, to the play side, you're pushing over to number 2. Backside, now you're pushing over to the 3rd guy to that side. And then, to the X or single receiver side, the corner is just kind of locked up.
Right. So this defender here in the middle would push over to match the 3 or the new 3, whichever guy happens to be the 3rd receiver in here, that's who it would match to. And then, just have to kind of take your chance on the back here and hope that he isn't able to get out or that you just have to break on him if he releases. If they get all 5 guys out, you're a guy short somewhere. That problem is they have to protect.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned, this is another 3rd and 11 situation, so people playing with a little bit of vision. If the ball is thrown short, you hope everybody rallies and tackles and, you're 4th down.
Right. Yeah, not much there.
Well, Coach, the next coverage that was really in fashion, I would say, last year, a little bit more of the Fire 4 this year, but it was really hot coverage, built off of the 5-man rush, but now adding the 6th guy in, like what would be a man blitz, but really playing with zone vision, more of the 3 deep, 2 underneath, still the 2 under concept that we just talked about. Todd Bowles ran that a lot last year. Minnesota ran it a lot last year. A little bit of Vegas running it this year, but a little bit of a different scheme.
Yeah, very popular coverage in college football. Again, better against plays that are longer yardage or run situations where the offense doesn't get everybody out. Plays where the quarterback has 5 receivers quickly usually is tough on this type of coverage. So here's Tampa, as you mentioned, Todd Bowles running it. Here's Tampa with it. Well, we see the 5 guys on the line of scrimmage here, and then the 6th rusher now comes from the tight end side. So we have 5 guys left in coverage, and they just all have their eyes on the quarterback. But the big thing for the offense is right here, they can't get everybody out. So the tight end, the fullback, the running back don't release very quickly. So it ends up being just really a 2-man route with these 2 receivers. So 5-on-2 is plenty to cover them and give you a rush chance to get there.
And again, nice defensive call here versus the run game. It actually works really well versus the play action game. The corners just got to squeeze a little bit on those in cuts and overs, but you got good, depth in the middle of the pocket, in the middle of the defense, and good break here by the corner, Coach.
Right. Corner does a nice job here on the backside, and then these 2 linebackers fill up the space there. You can see there's really nobody else getting out here. Just a real late check out there, but not much in terms of passing game here. It's 2 downfield routes, and Tampa has those pretty well covered and get some pressure on the quarterback. So it's definitely a good mixer, good to run in running situations against the running game and some 2 or 3-man play action routes.
Yeah, and another early down call here for Todd at Tampa. Yep. Uses it against Washington. This is, another situation here where it's really 2x2, and there's now some space to the offensive formation. So a little bit more dangerous to run this type of coverage. Right. A little bit more space to cover here. You got your 5 down plus the extra guy coming off the edge.
All right, so here's the edge pressure. here, and here. So that gives you your 6 rushers. And then that leaves the 5 players back here in coverage. Free safety in the middle of the field. So forcing the ball out quick. In this case, the ball does come out quick. And you see as quickly as the quarterback throws it, we have all these guys running to the ball. This is a pass rusher coming out, but they have all these guys running to the ball so that even if he throws it quick, the idea is they won't gain very much yardage because we'll be able to react to it so quickly. And the quarterback can't hold the ball back there. He's just got to see it and throw it because the rush is coming.
Yeah, and another good call that Todd likes to use against those RPO type of plays where obviously the front, you're bringing extra bodies. They can stop the run. They can stop the quarterback, who's the extra runner in those schemes. And then most of the design passes off of that are bubbles or quick throws where if you're playing with good zone vision, like you mentioned, you just drive and tackle on the play.
That's right.
Okay, another team that runs hot coverage here, coaches, is the Raiders. Pat Graham out at Vegas. Pat's using this a little bit here in the Cleveland game against some 2 open sets to try to stop the run and handle the play action pass game.
Right, and so Raiders here with there's your 5-man front, and we're going to bring a 6th player, in this case coming over here on the defensive left side, and then we have our 5-man coverage here with the 2 under and then 3 deep. So 5 in coverage with a 6-man rush. Good against closed formations, only 2 open receivers out here. So not a lot of pressure on the defense in terms of receivers getting down the field quickly or getting into space quickly. So this is a good run defense and also gives you a chance to pressure the quarterback against some of those 2-man routes.
Yeah, good situational call here for Pat. It's really get back on track. It's 2nd and 10. So you have some run, you have some screen, maybe play action pass. And this is a screen play right here that they're trying to set up with those 2 underneath defenders, good zone vision. They can break on the throw. They see it, and they're in a good position to go make the play.
Right.
Okay, then the last one here, Coach, with the hot coverage is really, it's another 2x2 opened up formation, but this is an example of a little bit too much space for these guys to have to cover. And, if you miss a tackle, there's going to be a lot of yardage to gain.
Right. This is a kind of feast or famine situation. When the offense is spread out like this and you blitz, there's just a lot of space here in the defense to get the ball in. If the quarterback can get it in there quickly, then sometimes it's hard to defend.
Yeah, so a lot of guys coming here, gets it over the middle, quick, missed tackle here, and now it's a catch and run play for, the Chargers and a 1st down.
Without the missed tackle, this is really pretty much of a, nothing play, maybe only gain a couple of yards. But this is the idea is for these guys to really see the quarterback feels the pressure, quarterback gets rid of the ball quickly, and then here he is closing on. It's a good break, just missed tackle.
Yeah, well, some, really interesting coverages that are being played right now in the defensive zone pressure world. The Fire 4, the Fire 3, a little bit of hot coverage in there, kind of the trends that we're seeing right now in the league.
Yeah, it's definitely a popular coverage, and the more the teams close the formation down, tight splits, maybe put a fullback or 2 tight ends in the game and 12 personnel, the more they got to be ready for a little more pressure in the running game and in the play action passes that aren't getting everybody out. And so that'll continue until people spread out more and throw quick.
Yeah, defensive zone pressures. You got to love them. Well, Coach, we're talking about being under pressure, and there's no more pressure than ball security and doing a good job of taking care of this thing. Obviously, defensive pressure on the ball is important, but before we get into that, it's really about how I, as the ball carrier, take care of this thing, the 3 points of contact, and then what you're looking for as I'm trying to hold this.
Right, well, that's the pressure. When you have the ball, you have the pressure of carrying the whole team with you.
Yeah, it's the fate of the entire organization, as you would tell us, just to make sure that everybody knew that pressure was real. So again, I want to grip the ball, obviously, with my fingertips, good, high and tight location of the ball across my chest, keeping the ball protected by my body. Obviously, with shoulder pads on, I'd be able to lower my shoulder pads on contact and protect it even more. But again, just trying to cover as much surface area with the ball as I can with my, eagle claw grip up here, my forearm, and then against my chest cavity, keeping it nice, high and tight here in this location, making it hard for you to get to.
3 points of contact. 1, 2, 3. And at that position right there, it's hard for me to get the ball out this way, that way, or pulling it away from you here. As a defensive player, when I see the ball not in that position, then I start to think I can get it away from you.
Right, so if I start to drop my wrist down here,
as the ball
Coach,
drops, I can come from behind here, or I can punch over the top here, all right, or especially coming from behind, can get the fingertips and the ball will roll out on top.
Yep.
So those are all ways to get the ball out as a defensive player, when I see the ball's not high and tight, I think, well, you're vulnerable.
Yeah, and the great point you made, we can get a lot of that off film study. We see
Sure.
where the ball is either dropped low or away from his body, or we see the real wide ones that are out here that's just, you just want to knock that thing out for sure.
Anytime from behind that I can see space between your body and your arm or see the ball even a little bit, then just this motion here or coming down from behind, it's easy to get out. You can't see me because you're running with your eyes forward, but when I see that, my eyes, instead of going for the tackle, I'm going for the strip or the punch out.
Yeah, you're in that chase position right there, Coach. It becomes real difficult for me to figure out where you are, and a lot of times I don't see you. I completely forget about where the ball is.
Right. So a lot of times the defensive player will just, if you're already tackled by somebody else and I'm coming in as a second man, I can punch through here. Some guys that really have great ball awareness as they're coming in for the tackle will punch and tackle. And of course, one of the classic ones is for the fast players, which I was never able to do this, but the fast players come in from behind will come with the overhand swat as they tackle from behind and wrap up.
That'd be two slow players right here, Coach.
Yeah,
Two slow
really
players.
slow. That second and third tackler will come in once he sees that the runner is tied up and engaged with other tacklers, and he's especially struggling for extra yardage, will come in and rip those fingers off.
Coach, we're talking about turnovers, giveaways, takeaways. We just walked through ball security, but as we know, there's nothing better to coach off than the film.
Yeah, and the TV copies on the punch outs and the fumbles are great teaching. Sometimes it's hard to see from the wide angle in the all-22, but there's some great shots from the TV copy on how the ball is punched out, and that's what we use to show the players.
Yeah, we'll take a look at a couple from this past week. The first game here is San Francisco's defense versus Seattle. Coach, we talk a lot about takeaways, but sometimes the offense just gives you the ball too.
And that's what a good defense does, is they take advantage of offensive mistakes, whether it's sloppy ball handling, drop ball that gets tipped up in the air, or a bad throw, being in position to take advantage of a sloppy play by the offense.
Yeah, and these are big ones right here. This is Seattle's offense. It's third down, and, really they got points on the board. This is probably the worst area where you just want to give the ball away.
Yeah, just a high throw, the ball gets airmailed up there, and free safety, ball hits him right in the chest, right in the stomach. So it's great when they make those mistakes. You've got to take advantage of them. We've certainly seen examples where the defense doesn't recover the fumble, drops the interception, or does something where they don't take advantage of those turnovers. When you get those chances, you don't get too many of them in the National Football League. The most important thing for the receiver is when you catch the ball is to put it away. Secure the ball, because those defenders will be on you immediately. As soon as you catch it, if you don't get it all the way in your body, they'll strip it out for an incomplete pass, or you get it in and don't have it security, take that third step, and the ball's out and it's a fumble. So most important thing after the catch is to get the ball securely tucked away into your body with those 3 points of contact that we talked about.
Coach, we're talking about taking the ball away. Nobody better in the NFL than Fred Warner. He's a great linebacker, and he really knows how to punch the ball out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a great look at everything we talked about. Here, Warner comes in and he sees the runner's elbow away from his body. He sees that space there. And so with that space, the ball is not secure. It just isn't. I don't care how tight you hold it. It's just not secure. And so now Warner's going to come with that right arm. He's going to come right through the pocket there and put pressure on the ball, and the ball can come out. But what he sees is the elbow away from the body. The ball is not secure. And if you can just put some pressure on the ball, either from the backside, or in this case, he's got a better angle to do it from the top side on the overhand punch, the ball is out.
Yeah, you can see right here, Coach, and that's why, you do an unbelievable job of coaching both sides of the ball, and smart players like Fred Warner, he's listening to that 3 points of contact that you talked about before, so now he knows that third contact point against the body, it's not there, and there goes the ball.
That's right. If his elbow had been tight to his body, then that ball would have been pressured against his forearm and his chest, and it probably wouldn't have come out. Here, there's nothing to protect the ball from going through the pocket, and Warner does a great job of getting his fist right on the ball. Like you said, nobody better than Fred Warner punching the ball out.
Yeah, another great player, T.J. Watt, Coach. Pittsburgh's defense is playing really well, helping them win. But again, you can see him. He's actually engaged here on a blocker. He's going to come off of this and sees the ball, sees the displacement of the ball, and he's going to punch right through it.
Yeah, once again, he's got a good, clear look at the ball here. And that's the red light for these defenders. They see that. They know the ball's not high and tight against his chest. It can either go out this way, or it can punch down that way, or you can grab the fingers and rake it out. Either way, that ball is not secure.
This is a really good play. I mean, defensively, look at this right here. The awareness to come off the block. There's the high elbow that you talk about on that punch and just delivering that force down and through the ball. Great timing.
Excellent.
Great turnover.
Tremendous awareness and timing on the play. It's just tremendous.
Well, Coach, same game, same guy. Going in, the Raiders are trying to score. And again, nothing worse than being in the red area. You think you got points offensively, and you turn the ball over.
You know, the closer the offense gets to the goal line, the better the ball security needs to be. At this point, it's tackle the ball, knock the ball out, especially these guys that try to reach the ball out over the goal line in traffic. You can see Watt comes off the block. He sees the elbow away from the body. The ball's not secure. The ball is not secure. So again, in this case, he can come in and punch, overhand punch it down, all right, rip the fingers off, do whatever he's going to do, but this ball is not secure.
And the really good players here, as you mentioned before, they have that knack for being able to punch at the ball and secure the tackle because he knows, he's got to tackle him before he gets in the end zone, but he gets the ball clean. It's another turnover for him.
Great job by Watt there with the left arm securing the tackle and punching with the right. But that ball is not secure when the elbow's away from the body.
Really helping Pittsburgh win.
Yeah. Well, here we go, Matt. Green Bay leading the league in turnovers. They really know what they're doing on this stuff, too.
Yeah, they have identified when that ball is loose, and you can see another punch coming here, Coach. They took advantage of this against Arizona. They are, on it. Everyone on the field, they're going after the ball. You can see here on some of these, guys are punching. The ball's already come out. Guys are still trying to punch. They're instantly trying to go after the ball. But you can see right here coming in, the ball where it is. It's against the body, but there's not a lot of protection underneath the ball, and there's a little bit of space as he gets hit. Here comes Williams. Great job of contacting through the ball, gets it out. You can see Seven's coming. He's still trying to punch. They're obviously putting a big point of emphasis on this during practice.
Yeah, that's the right idea to take care of the ball, but not enough squeeze, not enough pressure against his body. He's just too loose in there, and the ball's out.
Yeah, a couple great examples. Again, Green Bay doing a good job of taking the ball away, but sometimes the offense just gives it to you in these situations, and it's not only just throwing interceptions. Sometimes in the backfield, the quarterback-center exchange, or even the quarterback-halfback exchange, sometimes these just fall into your lap.
Yeah, and these are the ones offensively that you just can't let happen. You just can't give the ball away like this and have it on the ground on a handoff. That's not great defense. That's bad offense. The defense taking advantage of bad offense.
Yeah, great shot here from behind. You can see the elbow of the running back just contacts the ball as the quarterback's trying to put it in for the run game. Comes off the elbow, and Green Bay just capitalizes on the ball being out.
Yeah, that's football 101. Inside elbow up, put the ball in the stomach of the running back and secure the handoff. That's just bad football, and they pay for it.
Well, Coach, again, great examples from this past week, but as we coach our players and we teach them, we just want to show them as many copies as we can of what it looks like so they understand ball awareness and how to club and punch it out as we go with violence.
Yeah, and do it in practice. Do it against the offensive team or the offensive scout team. Here's a great tackle right here. Ball's loose, and the tackle wrapping up with the left arm, tackling with the right arm on the ball, and then if you miss the ball, then just secure the tackle. But that's a great job pressuring the ball. Again, poor ball security, and it's out.
Yeah, another good one here. Good awareness by the tackler as the guy's going to the ground. A lot of times, as we know, we'll do certain drills where players go into the ground, the ball tends to get loose, and the linebacker right here, he's got him wrapped up, it's going to the ground. He just has great awareness of the ball, puts the hand on the ball, pressures the ball, and, it pops out before the knee or the elbow hits.
Yep. Elbow's not close to the body, ball's not up against the body. It's just a great job. Leonard, is really one of the best in the league, too. He had great ball awareness, and there it is, ball's on the ground.
Great clip here, Coach, of a defensive lineman being engaged. This is actually Trey Flowers who's going to be engaged with the offensive lineman. And as you can see, as the zone play comes to him, he's engaged over to the right side of the screen with 76. He's extending. He's getting that separation in the run game. But you see that space open up as the back tries to hit the hole. Here goes Trey. He just gets the punch ready to go. He's going to get the elbow high. He's got to go across the body of the back. But great strike down and through. You can see the ball pop out right there. That's just a really nice play by the defender coming through off of the disengagement and getting the ball out.
Yeah, and then he's going to try to reach around with his left arm and make the tackle if he misses. So great ball awareness and also securing the tackle. Heck of a play.
And then this is, one we always talk about here, just awareness of players that are on the ground that are getting up. They're still alive. They can still run with the ball. A lot of times defenders, they'll kind of wait till they get up. Another situation where the ball gets a little bit loose, and if you have some awareness, you can punch it through.
Sloppy ball handling.
Yeah, right there. Great awareness, great play. We've had a couple of these through the years. It's Justin Coleman making a nice play on the ball here. We had a game in San Diego one time where Pat Chung, he was aware of the ball being loose. Just these plays come up in the game, and they're big turnovers.
That's why carrying the ball has got to be a habit. It's not something if you have to think about it, then you're probably going to have times where you don't think about it and you give it up. It's got to be a habit. That ball's got to be high and tight every time.
Well, sometimes it's not always the defensive guys. You like to make sure that everyone's paying attention in the team meetings. Sometimes the offensive guys, look, there's a turnover, a fumble, something happens. But look, you can turn a really bad play into a really good play. Great awareness here of the wide receiver. The ball is turned over, the DB's carrying a little bit loose, and he comes with that punch and turns it back over to the offense. So great awareness.
Yeah, sometimes those defensive players aren't that used to carrying the ball and don't carry it with proper technique. Once again, the ball's not high and tight. Ball's really parallel to the ground, and it's out. There's just nothing to hold the ball in place there. So, look, you got to get close enough to be able to punch the ball out. But when the runner's in traffic like that, he's so vulnerable if the ball's not tight up against his chest. He just is.
And we had a wide receiver situation, Coach. No bigger play actually in our season that year, 06, playing out in San Diego. Really good San Diego Chargers team. End of the game, we had a turnover right there that probably would have ended the game, but Troy Brown, really heads-up player for us. He made a big play.
Got the turnover, we end up winning the game.
Yeah, great awareness play by him. Well, we had the punches and the clubs, and then sometimes we talked about just ripping the ball out, whether it's the front tip or the back tip of the ball. Some of these situations now, this is Adrian Peterson. He's a phenomenal back. This guy has the strongest hands, I think, out of anybody that I've shaken hands with. So he tended to carry the ball a little bit loose. He tried to punch it, but one here where the defender sacrifices everything just to try to rip it out, and he actually gets the claw undone from the ball here.
Yeah, you can see grabbing for the fingers, and once again, the ball's not tight. Fingers come off, and the ball's out. Really a great job there.
Yeah, great example of stripping the front tip of the ball and popping it out. Well, Coach, we talk about ball awareness all the time, and we talk about, in practice, pressuring the ball, going after it. We do a lot of drills. Stumble bum is one of our favorites. Everyone loves to yell this drill out, but one that really shows up in the game.
Well, it does. The stumble bum, this is the ball carrier, and he's running in a straight line, and every third step, he will go down and touch the ground with his opposite hand. So if the ball's in the right hand, he would touch the ground with his left hand. The tackler is ready to punch or rip the ball out. He just stays right with the runner, and when the runner drops down, if the ball comes away from his body, or if it doesn't, he tries to punch, club, or rip the ball out. And so as he goes down the line, he'll have 2 or 3 shots at this. It really reminds the runner and teaches the runner to keep the ball close to his body as he's losing his balance and not let it swing out away from him.
Yeah, this is a great thing about these drills. You're coaching both sides of it, and I think that's the major point of emphasis. You're coaching the runner, you're coaching the tackler, everyone's listening, and you get a lot of drill work out of this, and it shows up in the game.
Yeah, well, here it is. We have a great clip of it here. You can see Henry here. As he goes down and his left hand goes down to the ground, you see the ball away from his body. There's the elbow out. Again, a good defender here is thinking about making the tackle. As soon as he sees the ball away from the runner's body, any daylight in there, any space between the ball and that rib cage, he's thinking strip because that ball's coming out. It's just not secure.
Yeah, great job, great awareness, and, just pops it out from behind.
Great awareness. And this is the circle chase drill. This drill is really, there are 3 players involved. The runner comes around and catches the ball from the quarterback. The tackler comes around a cone here. These are cones. Comes around this cone and gets in position to make the tackle. He doesn't want to let the runner cut back behind him. He wants to force the runner outside here so he would make the tackle from inside out. And then the chase player comes from behind. The chase player coming from behind here as the runner comes around. The runner can't see him, so the chase player will punch, strip, or club the ball out as the runner runs around the corner here with the ball in his outside arm. So it's a great drill. It teaches the tackler good leverage, good position. It teaches the runner to try to make this tackler miss and try to avoid him and work to the outside. But he can't see the stripper coming from behind, and so he doesn't know when the ball's going to punch. So he has to have great ball security all the way through the drill.
Yeah, another great drill that we do in practice, and certainly something that shows up in the game.
Here's the receiver, here's the runner. He catches the ball, comes around the corner. Here comes the tackler. He'll come from the inside out. And then this will be the chase defender here. And so when the runner puts the ball in his left arm, in this case, his outside arm, away from the tackler, here comes the chase defender from behind.
And again, we want to violently punch, try to find space, and great job by the runner here securing the ball. Danny Amendola is a great player. He can run with the ball, certainly. Again, another view from this angle. You can see as he comes around.
Here's the
tackler.
catch.
Yep.
Here's the tackler, and here's the chase player. And again, the runner can't see the chase player, or it's hard for him to see the chase player. Similar to game situations, just taking care of the ball, always having the ball high and tight on your body so the defender can't punch it out.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Coach, this shows up in the game. Here it is. The ball carrier gets around the corner. He's, going vertical into the defense right here, kind of working against the tackler. He's setting him up.
Here comes the tackler. Yep, here comes the tackler. Here's the runner. He breaks outside. He can't see these guys behind him.
And here
the
it
ball's
comes.
vulnerable. And there it is. Great look at it.
Yeah.
It's a great look at it.
Yeah, you love the drills that you actually practice that show up in the game. I think it reemphasizes the point of what you're trying to accomplish in practice. But nothing more important than the ball, pressure on the ball. Certainly there's the takeaways that the defense practices. There's some giveaways by the offense. But besides points, this is a huge part of the game. We're seeing it right now in the NFL. Ball security, the teams that get this fixed, they'll win some games. The teams that can keep turning it over defensively, they're going to win some games.
Yeah. Job security is ball security, and defensively, if you can turn the ball over, it increases your chances of winning more than anything else, except points. Matt, I always enjoy this part of the show where we sit down with Mike Lombardi. Mike, got some big college games coming up here, and we've had a few already this year. What do you think?
Well, I think college football is all about good against good. And you couldn't find a better game. I was at the game, Georgia, Alabama. There's so many pro players running on that field that when you have time to watch the tape, you better spend all day at Alabama or all day at Georgia. I always said this, a scout who's on schedule is a bad scout, because it's taped like these that force you to stay and you find the players. Like, you got to watch this tape 100 times. There's so many good players. We're going to roll it. We're going to start off with Georgia's offense versus Alabama's defense.
Mike, you were at the game. How much do you get out of scouting the game live as opposed to watching it on tape?
I think a lot of it is character, Coach. I think you see the players' interaction with the coaches. Are they paying attention? In the NBA, when they call a timeout, nobody pays attention to the coach. You're like wondering, what the hell's going on, right? Well, you want to see that. And especially if you're watching Carson Beck, you want to see what his demeanor's like, what he's doing on the sidelines. He's sitting by himself. You can't see that on the tall 22. You really want to get a feel for what's important to the players, watch their interaction with the coaches on the sideline, see how they're into the game. If they're just into themselves, or they into the game. They have a towel over their head, they're just buried it in there. I think it's really important to get body language and really attest to that and see that's part of their character. So I think you can learn a lot more for the quarterbacks too, though.
Yeah.
You got to really study the quarterbacks at the game, because they're the leader of the team. And if they're not the leader of the team, you got problems.
I think that's great information to bring back to the building and let everybody know, hey, this is what the guy is like. This is what he's like during the games. That's all the stuff we're trying to find out.
Because if we're going to bring him into our program, and his behavior in their program is reflective on what we're going to get in our program. Mm-hmm. And I think if you can't deduce that, then it's really hard. The one thing about scouting, we want to learn more about the players before we draft them than after we draft them.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the key. All right, like Carson Beck here, we've got some clips. Here's Georgia's offense, Alabama. And Coach, you circled all these guys, and this is why this tape's so important. Look at this. You can't watch this game and study how many of these players without spending all day on one tape. Now here we get a better look at it here. Now Georgia, they're better than some of these pro lines. This is the Georgia talent that we have to evaluate, and all of them are circled. So you know that Beck's under really good protection. Look at him. Look at a clean pocket he has, and still makes a bad throw.
Yeah, he came back and played a lot better in the second half, didn't he?
He did. That's what you're looking for. Can a guy rebound from a bad game?
I remember this play, Mike. This is a play that could have won the game, right?
Right. This is a huge play in the game, and this is by a freshman corner here at the top, who we're going to end up probably scouting him. This is Xavier Brown. We're going to end up watching him 4 years from now. This is where you start collecting your
3
notes.
years from now.
3 years from now. This is where you start collecting your notes on these guys. Remember that play? Here are the linebackers again, Bill. And this is one of the things which you emphasize, Matt, we all talk about this, is work the pocket north and south. There's no reason to run here. It's a clean pocket. It's a clean pocket. You got to climb the ladder. That's what we're talking about, climbing the ladder here.
Great step-up lane right here for the quarterback. He should feel nice and secure in this pocket.
So can we draft this guy making the sack?
Yeah, I think we should.
Redshirt freshman.
Redshirt freshman. I mean, just write it down. That's why you have to almost treat these colleges a little bit like pro teams. You have to evaluate everybody. Or, you know, if you don't evaluate every player from his freshman year to his senior year, you're not going to know enough about them. There's just not enough time. Coach, I know a lot of people get excited about 7-yard runs, but you do. ATN here from Georgia, who went to Florida initially and transferred, has one hell of a 7-yard run. You can see this is 4th and 1 with power.
It looks like he's going to get caught in the backfield here.
Great move.
This guy's really a good receiver. It looks like he could be a 3-down back.
Here it is from behind here. You can see the initial quickness here. And that's what you want. I mean, this is one of the things you have to have as a running back, is the ability to make somebody, not Barry Sanders make you miss, but subtly make you miss, and he did a great job there.
I think this is Delp. This is the kid that played last year when Bowers got hurt and missed most of the season at Georgia, first-round pick last year for the Raiders. And this was his backup, and he actually had a pretty good year last year. He's a decent blocker, too.
This is a good block here. You know, college football, it's hard to find these tight ends that'll actually stick their nose in there and block like that. They all want to be receivers.
Oh, of course.
Everybody does. Now, this is an effort play here by Campbell that you just can't, you got to love this. You can't teach this. This is just somebody willing to make a play and run to the football.
Yeah, he's run down a receiver there, and a good one, too.
And a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't coach that.
You know, I feel like we've been scouting more for 8 years.
Yeah.
So every year it seems like he's got another year, and he just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, tries to disguise the coverage, make the quarterback think they're playing 3, but he bows out of there. And look at the range here.
Yeah, that's a great baseball turn. You know, we talk about that where you got to turn your back to the quarterback and then run out and locate the ball. That's really hard to do. That's a hell of a play.
Now, again, this is Georgia offensive line at its finest here with ATN in the backfield here.
Yeah. Wilson and Green. Looks like those two guys are pretty good
Great
guys.
cut
Center.
here.
Yeah.
Great cut. Look at him play off the block of 11 on 13 there. That's really outstanding, right? I mean, that's great vision. You can't teach that.
Yeah.
And finish. And then here's a 2-point play late in the game.
There's my tackles again, Mike. I like these guys.
Yep. Levels it off.
Sure does.
Comes back out of it, ready to punch somebody in the mouth.
That's a pretty good pocket.
Yep.
Really good
and
position.
Beck has to go make a play, and sure he does. Big time play right there. We saw this exact play Monday night by Buffalo. And here it is again. Georgia's going right down the middle of the seam. Touchdown. All right, so let's flip this over. Now we're going to watch Alabama offense versus Georgia defense. And guess what? You circled how many players here? I mean, this is the same thing. So don't tell me you can finish Alabama or Georgia in a day. If you're a scout, you better just get two or three days to stay down there, because it's just too much time. I mean, you got to really detail this game out. You know, there's a difference between watching the game and studying the game, and I think this really shows here with all these players that we were able to see. And let me say, the crowd was electric down there. This was like a Super Bowl in a small town.
They're playing against good players here. The level of competition is outstanding.
Yeah. Look at them all.
Yeah.
Free safety, middle linebacker, 3 technique tackle, running back, defensive end. They're everywhere. Georgia runs a little zone blitz game here.
Yeah, and you know, I thought in this game, watching it on TV, Milroe's fast, and this fast guy's chasing him.
Yeah. And he outruns angles, Matt. I mean, he outruns angles. So, you know, that's the thing that's really impressive. You don't see that on TV as much if a guy has the angle to get you. You can see it on the 22.
And something in this game that's great is that there is so much speed on the field, you can now really evaluate what does that speed look like.
This play here just shows it here. I mean, and they're pro players here.
Well, Starks is he's one of the highest rated safeties in the draft.
Yep, there he goes. And Milroe, and really, if it's two-hand touch, he may have gotten him, but if it's tackle, he ain't got him. Hell of a play.
Yeah. Wonder what it's like to be that fast.
I don't know. I would love to. I mean, this kid's improved all through his career there. This is a play you really liked here, Coach.
Yeah, I see. That's Booker. This is my guy from IMG. It's like another first-round pick from IMG.
And he got called for a penalty on that, just trying to be aggressive.
He hit him too hard.
There's our freshman, Williams. He'll be, as you used to tell me all the time, just put him on the pro board because he's going to be there, right?
He'll probably be in the top half of the first round.
Yeah,
probably be in the top 5 of the first round.
This is a good matchup. A short yardage play. We've got a bunch of good players on both sides of the ball. Good stack and shed. Really good play by Georgia defense here. Get another look at Milroe here.
Yeah, this is. I think Williams was hurt in this game.
Yeah, you can see him here, Coach. He can't really push off that foot. But that's how important a game is, right? I mean, these kids don't want to come out of the game. They want to play through it, you know? They want to be able to give it their best, to give it their all in these games. That's what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
You know, they're not worried about their pro contract. They're worried about representing their school and playing well.
Yeah, those two linebackers, Mondon and Walker, they're impressive too, just like the Alabama guys. They're a little different, bigger, but they're impressive.
Here's a heck of a play here. Great route. Starks takes the bait on the out and pump route, and boom. Touchdown.
That's Bernard. That's the transfer from Washington.
Yep.
Yeah, Coach DeBoer brought him with him down there to Alabama.
Your notepad's going to be filled with all this information, but to me, you have to watch these games 3, 4, 5 times. That's the draft. I mean, look, Alabama's going to play lesser competition. There's no need to watch that tape. Those guys probably aren't going to be in pro football. These guys will be, and that's the key for most of. If you want to be effective in scouting, watch the right tape, not every tape.
Well, I look forward to watching some other big games with great players in them like this. Coming up in the SEC and the Big Ten, the ACC. We got some good games coming up.
Yeah, it's great to evaluate these games. And, you know, we've been talking all show about pressure, being under pressure. And, you know, these kids are under pressure, too, as they're going out trying to compete in these huge games every single week because they know we're watching them as a league and we're going to be evaluating every play.
A touchdown wins the game. 13 seconds to go in the overtime. 22-19 San Francisco. McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown! Kansas City! McCole Hardman with the catch on the right side. A 3-yard touchdown pass in overtime. Kansas City wins the game. 25-22. And the Chiefs Kingdom has started its own history class.
Well, we've all experienced the glory of winning one of those, and we've also experienced the ones of losing that. Super Bowl 58, Kansas City, San Francisco. But this week, in Week 7, we have a rematch here in the huddle. So we're going to discuss that game as we look back on Super Bowl 58. You know, those players enjoyed the moment. San Francisco obviously was severely depressed as they recover from it. But the game's going to be different. We're going to have a lot new players in the game because, as we always know, teams change. And San Francisco's not the same, and neither is Kansas City. A lot of personnel shifts going on here, Matt.
Yeah, you love those clips. I mean, it just takes you right back to the moment of the championships and understanding the pressure that are in those moments. Man, those are just exciting clips. I mean, I love that stuff. And that makes this weekend really exciting as we look forward to this match coming up.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of differences in the game. One, it's not a neutral site. It's in San Francisco.
Right.
San Francisco has a new defensive coordinator, so there's a little change in the coaching staff there. And then there were some changes in the personnel and some of the players that didn't play in that game last year. So it'll be interesting to see how things match up this time around.
Yeah, most notably Isaiah Pacheco, who's on injured reserve. Rashid Rice is out. Donovan Smith, their left tackle, he's going to be out. So a lot of changes for Kansas City, particularly on their offensive side of the ball. And
well, they still have Taylor. Hopefully he knows the snap count this year. It's second year.
You know, he's created a new position in football. He's the wing tackle now because he lines up so far behind the line. He doesn't get called for it. I don't understand how he gets away with it. But how many penalties does he have already?
Well, he was second in penalties last year, and he's second in penalties this year. So he's still got time to get in first place.
Well, you know,
there's a plan on the road, so this would be a good chance for him to notch a couple penalties.
This would be in San Fran. We might be able to up that stat here a little bit this week.
I think if Bosa's over on my side, I think I would be a little bit nervous too. I think he's going to be a little deeper in the backfield too. And then, of course, San Francisco has a lot of changes too. They look like a completely different team, partly due to losing players, salary cap, but Steve Wilkes isn't there, replaced with Nick Sorensen. But more than anything is their defensive front. You know, they don't have Chase Young, Eric Armstead, Hargrave's injured. He's on injured reserve. And that's really where this team has suffered the most liability in terms of trying to replace some of those good players from last year this year.
Well, and of course McCaffrey.
And McCaffrey,
I mean, he's, you know, the numbers he put up last year, without those, it's amazing they're as good on offense as they are without the numbers that McCaffrey had last year. That's a lot to replace.
Yeah. So when you go back and revisit Super Bowl 58, there's the margin of victory in the NFL is so small, right? We saw the Chiefs celebrate as they came off the field. But a couple plays went in their way that really were San Francisco mistakes that really benefited Kansas City. It was one of those where San Francisco had the game within their grasp and they just couldn't execute at the precise moment. Let's roll the tape here. Here's the first one before we get to overtime. Now, San Francisco has the ball. If they get this first down here, they can run the clock all the way down where the Chiefs won't have a chance to come back in the game and tie the game up. But here's what happens, Coach. They just don't handle the protection.
No, they're 6 for 6, and they just messed the protection up. McCaffrey's coming wide open on the angle route. Just no time to throw.
Yeah, great scheme play, right idea. Get McCaffrey out, leave the tight end in protection. But sometimes those rules, the duel coming back across the field, those guys don't do that a lot. Just wound up with a bad play for them.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Shanahan is saying, if we would have just done a couple more things right, we would have won that game. And, this would be look, this is the play of the game right here.
Yeah, this is in overtime. San Francisco 3rd and 4. Now, let me just ask you a question. If you're going to block anybody, who are you going to block?
Chris Jones. Yeah. Let everybody else go. Get Chris Jones.
Unfortunately, San Francisco, Matt, didn't block Chris Jones here. It's another mental mistake, critical situation late in the game. Remember, these games are 5 hours. They're mentally draining on the players. You used to talk about that on Super Bowl week all the time. We got to prepare for the long haul. And I think, obviously, San Francisco had their moment, and it just didn't come through. They convert that, then this play here.
And let's look at Ayuk at the top of the screen, and there he is in the back of the end zone. Oh, wide open. Nobody on him.
He was the only thing standing in his way were the C, the H, and the I. That was about it, right?
That's it.
He was so wide open. There was nobody there. But again, they don't handle the protection.
Coach talks about it all the time in the biggest games. Look, there's a lot of pressure. And there's a lot of plays in this game that could have gone either way and maybe helped the outcome. But as the game goes on, all of those plays become more and more important, and you got to execute at the highest level, and you got to be focused in those pressure situations.
And so then this play, which is the game winner, would have really just sent the game to another overtime because San Francisco would have scored, assuming they made the extra point. But here it is, a classic Andy Reid special, right?
Yeah, faking the shovel pass, run flat to the right. We've talked about that play all year. Another flat to the right on the West Coast offense. And honestly, it's a very similar play that San Francisco lost in Miami in 2019.
Yeah. So, all the players are excited to play this game. Kansas City coming off a bye. San Francisco had 10-day rest. There's not a lot of things to get the team. They're motivated to play. How do you keep them from being over anxious? Like, this season goes on after this game. So if you don't win it, you got another game to play. This isn't the end of the year. How do you temper the emotion of the players?
Well, I think, as we know, there's no replay of the Super Bowl game. It might be a rematch, but it's not. The stakes aren't the same, not even close. So I know when we played in those games against Seattle and Atlanta after the Super Bowls, it was a lot more about the fans and the organization and the media hyping the game than it was the game. It was another game, that regular season game, that you wanted to win against a good team, but the media hype and all was a lot more than what I think the team felt. I'm sure it's an important game. They all are, but the stakes are a lot different.
The point you would always make to the team was, we're not defending anything. Fortunately, when you win the Super Bowl, they can't take it away from you.
You already have it.
You have it. It's not boxing. You're not going out defending your title. So as you do look at the game that you played the year before or 2 years before against that team, from a schematic standpoint, it's a totally different game. That game's the end of the year. It's either game 21 or 22 for you in the season. Your team's at a totally different point than where it is week 6, week 7 of the season. And you just got to keep it in that moment, stay in the moment. Do the best you can in that moment to try to win that game.
The Super Bowl's like the Masters. They can't take the green jacket away from you, right?
Yeah.
You got it for the rest of your life, right? You own it. So we played Seattle 2 years after we beat them in Super Bowl 49. And here's a play that
came down to this.
Came right down to this.
Yep. Gronkowski, Chancellor, and we couldn't convert on 4th and goal from the one.
After Super Bowl 51, then we had to play Atlanta again the next season. And, you remember that game vividly.
I remember after the Super Bowl, we're on the bus. I'm still trying to figure out if we even won the game. Coach, myself, Josh McDaniels are on the front of the bus, and Josh and I are, hey, what happened? I didn't see any of your side. And, Coach turned around, looked at us, and said, hey, we're probably going to open up with these guys. We should go back. And, what did we do well? I'm like, did we even win? Like, what just happened? But we wound up playing them. We played them a little bit earlier in the year. And we had a situation where we lost one of our best players, before this game, but it really didn't come to light, I would say, until Friday night that he wasn't going to play. And we had some matchups. We had Julio Jones. This was going to be an issue for us. He's a great player. Their offense was still rolling. So we took a special teams corner, Johnson
Batamosi,
who was going to be active for the game, and literally we had to walk through on Saturday the entire game plan. And to his credit, he went out, battled, he played Julio. We won the game. We actually played the game really well. He played physical. We had a little help. We got some fireworks go off pregame. There was some fog that settled in. The deep ball was a little bit tough, but man, he made some plays in this game. He really stepped up. That's an unbelievable story just of a player being ready to go, walk through on Saturday, come out and help us win.
Yeah, and one of the key plays in the game was the 4th and 1 where Kyle Van Noy tackles the speed sweep for a loss there, and that kind of sealed the game. It was hard to see. There was so much fog on the field.
Yeah.
It was hard to tell what happened out there, but that was a heck of a game, big rematch, and it was good to come out on top on that one.
But like you said, it's just a rematch. It's not the replay of the game. And so, but that confidence that you get from beating them again certainly helps you for the next week. Because you always would say, when you win a game, the next week's the most important game.
That's right. Yeah, you can't look back. Just there's always a challenge ahead of you. You're only as good as your next game.
Yeah, well, look, there'll be a lot of pressure in this game, but we know there's a lot of football left to be played. But we know San Francisco want to go play well at home. Kansas City obviously wants to keep the streak alive. This will be a fun game to watch.
Yeah,
it'll be a great game to watch.
It's going to be fun. I'm going to be sitting on my couch watching it. So, look, we'll be back next week to review the game. That's the best part. So please make sure you like and subscribe to our Coach channel on YouTube, and we'll see you next week.
I'm trying to go right into the camera there.
Okay, there you go. Is that good, Cody? Because we're going to keep. Are you nervous? That was it.
That's the one.